Hello everyone, welcome to my name Chess Kids. Today I show the game played by Nikola and Sergio, and this beautiful game complete in only 25 moves. And let's see how the game play. The game starts with the pawn to e4, and here the black play a d5, and here you have a Scandinavian Defence. And here the white just capture the pawn and queen capture. Then the knight to c3, taking the queen, and now the queen need to move away. And here are the few options that the queen can move, and the green will be the best move for the queen to move. They can move the queen to d6 or to e6, but in the actual game the black prefer to choose the queen to d6, and after this the white continue to play a d4, and now the black continue to develop with the knight to f6, and the white continue to develop knight to f3, then the black to c6. And this is the first 5 move, and you can see and the game continue with the white continue to move and push to bishop c4, then the bishop to f5, and now the knight to e5 continue control the center of the board, and e6 was played, and now the white play another attacking move with the pawn to g4 and attack the bishop. So g4 was played and the bishop to g6, and now the white continue to storm with the h4 and trying to pressure and win the bishop. So h4 was played, and in this position the black continue to play a bishop b4, and after this h5 push and attack the bishop will be the good move, as if you move the h5, then now the bishop will come to e4 and attack the rook, as the knight cannot capture it because the knight is being pinned by the bishop. So after this the white play f3 to prevent the attack of, and after this the black used the bishop to capture the pawn at c2. So let's see if another suggestion, such as if you move the knight to d5, attacking the knight which is being pinned, then the white can push to h5, and now if you use the knight to capture the pawn, sacrifice of the bishop, then the queen will be capturing back, and after this the knight will capture and the pawn will capture back. And here come one of the beautiful move where the black can use the queen to capture the pawn, as the pawn cannot capture it because the pawn is being pinned by the bishop. So queen will take this one, and here by sacrificing the bishop and able to get a 2 pawn, and the next will just capture the pawn and have the fork and win the rook. So if this move, the queen is attacking the pawn as well as the queen is attacking the rook, so it's a double attack. And if the white choose to save the knight, such as knight to d3, then the black will just capture the pawn and win the rook. So in the actual game, after f3, the bishop capture the pawn at c2, and then the queen just capture it back, then the queen capture the d4 pawn, and after this position queen to e2 was played, and here the white trying to win with the knight takes the pawn, and the queen will be able to capture the pawn and check the king. So after this, if you play an example move such as a knight to f6, then the knight will just capture the pawn and go for sacrifice. And if the king capture, then the queen will just capture and check the king. And now if the king move to f8, then the queen will go to f7 and checkmate. So bishop takes c3 was played, the c3 bishop. Then continue with the queen check, takes the pawn and check the king and attacking the rook at the same time. And at this the king just moved to f2, then the queen just captured the rook, and now the knight just captured the pawn, another sacrifice. And here the black go for a short castling, and in this position the white is clearly better. Another suggestion that you can play before capturing the pawn is that you can play a rook to d1 and controlling the square, and after this the bishop to b1 will be winning the queen, as the queen will be trapped. So rook to d1 can be played, and now if the black do not make anything to move away the queen, example make a bad move such as a6, then you can play bishop to d2 and the queen will be trapped. And after the capture the rook, then the queen capture and the queen, and the white will be winning. So after rook d1, you can play the example move such as move the queen to c, and then here now you can just sacrifice with the knight, and if the king castling, then the bishop will keep on the attack, and the queen goes to b4, then the bishop will just take the knight and pawn takes, then the queen will just take, and this queen will take the bishop, and now the knight can go for the open check and win. So if another example move like knight to a6, then the queen will just capture the pawn at f6 and go for the h8 and checkmate. And if the queen goes to b2, check, then the queen will just capture the queen. And now if the rook capture, then the queen will come to f6 and controlling the square. And if the rook come to f8, then the bishop will just capture and the rook capture, and you have the rook to d8 and check the king. And after this the rook to f8, then you have a rook takes rook, and it will be a checkmate. So rook d1 will be the best move for the white to play in this position. And in the actual game, knight takes f7, and here the black go for a castling, and now the queen just capture the pawn, and the knight will be able to have the open check. After this, queen to d4 was played, and here the bishop to e3 attacking the queen, and after this the queen goes to d7, and this is a tactical blunder, and here this position, the white play knight to e5, and here you have a open check, and the knight is attacking the queen. Therefore the queen just capture the queen, and the queen bishop you just capture back and check the king, and now the rook cannot come out because you will winning. Therefore king to h8 was played. And after this position, now the white storm with the pawn and attack with the h4. h5 was played, and the checkmate is very simple with the knight to g6, and it will be a checkmate. So in this game, knight g8 was played, and here you have a mate in 5. I give a couple of seconds to figure out how the white can continue to play and mate in 5. Well, congratulations for those who found the answer. And for those who like to enjoy the show, here are the brilliant moves that the white can play and mate in 5. And at this position, you can just move your knight to g6 and check the king. After this, the black will just capture with the pawn, as there's nothing can be blocked. The check and the knight cannot prevent the check. So after the pawn capture, then you have the h takes g6, and this is an open check. And after this, you have the knight to h6, and here the white can continue to use the rook and capture and check the king, and here will be a brilliant sacrifice. And after the pawn capture, then you can have bishop to d4, and here you have a double bishop attack diagonally, and with the pawn protect the square at h7. With this, the king cannot move, and the only way is to block with the rook, and now the bishop just capture, and it will be a checkmate in 5. And actual game, after knight g8, the white play bishop to d4, and after this, knight h6 was played, and now white continue to play a beautiful checkmate with the sacrifice of the knight to g6 and check the king, and again the king cannot move away, and the only way is to capture the pawn. After capture, the pawn capture, and now the idea of the white is to sacrifice the rook and check the king, and there's nothing much the black can do. So in the actual game, the black play a rook to f6 to prevent the attack of the diagonal bishop, and now come another great move from the white with a rook takes h6 and sacrifice the piece. And here again, the king cannot move to any of the square, and the only square to prevent the check is to capture with the pawn g takes h6, and now you have a bishop takes h5, and this is a 25 move, and the white win the game with a beautiful checkmate. And with this, thank you.